Okay, so we're now starting part 2 of the Alden About Everything exclusive table talks. Last time we spoke on dating expectations in the 21st century, the ideal male or female for you. Is it harder for women in our society than it is for men? A man's role versus female role in a relationship should be agreed upon before entering a relationship. Females can be broke and pull rich males. Broke males need money to pull rich or poor females. So, this time we'll be talking about toxic masculinity. Tinder swindler is the shoe on the other foot, and not enough is being done to bring awareness to men's mental health. So from the UNESCO office, yes, the Jamaica National Commission for UNESCO, brought to you by Cloud9, One Day Jesus, and of course
Line Date JA.
Line Date JA, and that could start. Yeah. So welcome to everybody who is here. Woman King, Kyle Rodney, Shaggy, Seku, Caroline, Tamika, and of course Rodney Campbell. Let's go! First topic. Toxic masculinity. Is it real or fake?
Real. Real.
I think it's real.
So real.
So hold on. So there are obviously
It's real.
No,
difference in views. Right? So, Caroline, you have a lot of expertise. You have written papers on toxic masculinity.
Masculinity. Well, papers about masculinity.
Okay.
But it's real.
Is it real?
It's real.
How would you define
It's real because masculinity is socially constructed. That is, we decide as nations, as countries, as communities, what masculinity means. Now, anything that is toxic is something that causes damage. And you have to realize that when you hear toxic masculinity, you think about rape, you think about abuse, you think about all these things that are happening to these victims, and it is that. But it's also toxic because it also affects the men. So for example, when I was growing up, when I just started dating, I didn't like men who smile too much. You have to smile, you're not to cry, you must barely talk. You mustn't wordless,
Put your hand there.
right? Now, where did I get that from?
Your hand on the mic there.
Oh, where did I get that from? It's just the comments, be a man, or, man up. And you get all of these things, these sayings that say, yeah, but when you think about it, it's toxic. Why? Why do you cry? Do you know why you cry?
I don't, sir.
You agree or you disagree?
Why do you cry?
Hold on.
No, but why do you cry?
I'm waiting for
No,
you to
but,
finish.
but why do you cry? Why is it toxic? Why do you cry? Does anybody know why they cry?
Because it's sad. Or you feel.
Alright, there you go,
It's an
right?
emotion, yeah.
It's an emotion.
Yeah.
Alright, it is toxic because when you cry, you release hormones that actually calm you down. So you release cortisol. So crying serves a biological function. So when you tell boys not to cry, you're telling them to hold in the toxins. And there are other hormones as well. So it is toxic to the person, but it's also toxic to the victims. So biologically, it is at that basic level, it is toxic.
Double-edged sword.
What do you think?
You just said when we tell boys
And men.
and men. So you're, and let me not misquote you or misunderstand
Yeah.
you. You're suggesting that toxicity is far more, or male toxicity is the beginning and the end of toxicity.
No, well, he said toxic
No,
masculinity.
No, I just want to make sure that though we are talking about male toxicity, if you would also agree that there's female toxicity.
Of course, but that's not what he asked me.
Okay.
But that's not what, yeah, I agree.
Because this argument of, I've never heard of female toxicity.
Thank you very much.
All I've ever heard about is male toxicity. And these explanations say why.
Right.
Here's my
Shaggy, you disagree. You say it doesn't exist.
Here's the thing. Let me rephrase that. Kind of properly. It's not that it doesn't exist, but typically that I see happens in the world is that you have a small percentile doing something and we broad brush the entire thing where it is concerned. Because it's very interesting. There are certain catchphrases that I've seen circulating around the world. And one of these phrases is toxic masculinity. I've never heard about toxic femininity, right? Now, people, both male and female, exhibit behaviors that are toxic to the people around them and toxic to themselves also. A lot of things that are, especially in America, a lot of things that made men are frowned on and are bashed. You understand? There's a simple phrase. Now we must be very careful. Teaching us to be very careful with how we grow and what is it we want to get rid of. Right? It says, hard times breed strong men. Strong men breed good times. Good times breed weak men. A lot of the traits that feminists are complaining and have issues about are traits that we fought 2 world wars where evil was permeating the land. Men stood up, men decided to risk their lives to defend their country, defend the other countries in the world. We put people on the moon, we did a lot of things. So what the issue that I have is that feminists push some agendas and push some catchphrases where some of the things that they want to get rid of out of the man is what actually, I'm not speaking to you in general, but I'm speaking where a lot of women are concerned, especially so-called feminists, right? A lot of traits that simple little things happen. And the first thing you say is, oh, the toxic masculinity that is being portrayed. There's nothing toxic about the man's behavior at that particular time. Sometimes we just use words very loosely to describe things that's not even there. If a man, I've seen online conversations in mediums like this, and there's an argument about toxic masculinity, and just because the man is disagreed with the point that she's putting across, he's been accused of that.
Senko, you say you agree that toxic masculinity.
Yeah, I agree in the sense that men, based on society, fear showing emotions, especially certain emotions that would coin them weak. But just because I might go home and cry, that don't mean I can't get up and thump you in the face tomorrow. You see me? I'm just saying. It's just that just because I tell my virgin say, oh dog, I love you in a dog, and trust me, yo, I'm virgin, that don't mean I gay. You see me? However, certain emotions based on society, especially in the Jamaican culture, won't allow us to exhibit certain feelings to your counterpart. So I go and see him, and it is gay to say happy birthday, bro. Better you say, yo, big up on the strong. You see me? So I think it exists in that realm of saying that, you can't show certain feelings because it might come off as weak, then this, that. You see me? So
Who is it that
Deterrent.
has, well, before you really determine, who do you believe? Because we want to be fair and not speak worldwide. Because trust me, there are many cultures women have in this country love, foreign cultures, and the man them over there are junkro, but them alright. Them say them love Frenchmen and all them thing, and them man they are junkro. But anyway, who is it? Who is it that has endorsed, facilitated, schooled and taught our boys to be the way they are? Because they say that's how we grow. Who schooled it that way then?
Both men and women.
No. Wait.
no, so
They ask him as a man to tell me
you're all
who him
going
think, as in his mothers do it, fathers do it,
All right.
Grandmothers
You
do it.
can't preemptively reality.
No. So here we go. I think it's both, but if anything, I'd say 60-40 more to the man. Why? Because I go to an all boy school. If I sit down and show my emotions, chances are them man are going to want to pick on me, going to want to beat me, going to call me soft. So what I going to do? I going quote unquote man up.
Where them get it from?
So
Them never just come to school, come invent this.
Yeah,
Where them
it's
get it?
power.
No, I just want to make sure we
It's
know
not
it's
just them,
where them get it from.
I get what you're saying,
Before
but-
getting there, I will see where I'm going.
Them come from them yard with a philosophy.
yeah.
Who is, and I'm going with what women say, who in the home the most?
Mother.
Women or
But the
men?
woman is not the only place.
Who school them boys to be jealous
Before
the
we go-
most?
Before we
Not
go-
man.
Before going there,
Women.
Kai, you had
It's-
disagreed.
I
Yeah,
get
but I was
what you're
just,
saying.
You
it's
agree that
something-
there's toxic masculinity.
Yeah,
I have a
but-
question.
Well, no, I'm going to hear why.
Well, I tell you what, I can't answer the question with addressing what you said already, right? Not it, but the thing is, there are levels to everything, right? We live in a society. Society consists of families. We have single parent households. We have nuclear family households. We have all type of situations going on in society. But this particular thing that we're referring to, it's an all hands on deck type of situation, right? Like you said, 60-40, I like that because it would be relatively accurate in our culture to say, well, if a man or a boy live in a certain household and experience certain challenges as a result of showing him emotions, depending on the statistics, more likely him live in a household with his mother or his sister them or around women and stuff like that. You can't do volleyball around them, and if you do it, half the time the girls them gonna either hush you and say, alright, then cool it alright, or them say, yo, watch how y'all going like y'all got and say if you go on man up. You know what I mean? So to your point, you're gonna get the same narrative from either females or men whenever you go through, whenever you're challenged with the situation.
Exactly.
Woman
Right?
king.
But at the same time, the idea of toxic masculinity is, like what I say, coming from times when we had to be a certain type of way and women were attracted to that. Right? The idea, the entire format of how relationships come together, of how people come together and socialize, everything has been changing over time because we have been experiencing good times.
Hold on.
We have been experiencing good times.
We're trying to get
Right?
everybody's view.
No, hold on, but I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna wrap up. So we have been experiencing good times, and what we find now is that women are saying, guys, you're not too rough, you're not do this, you're not do that. It's time now, you need to empathize, you need to tap into your sensitivities, you need to do these things, X, Y, and Z. So to the point, who's balling are the victims. You see what I mean? It's the women who have been experiencing the kind of masculinity that they don't have that partnership dynamic to build proper relationships. It's the men that are experiencing stronger men and don't know how to deal with these things.
Or
Don't
more
know how to
aggressive
stand
women.
your
Toxic
ground,
femininity.
right? Or you don't know how to stand your
Well,
ground.
that
So
would be the-
you're
the
going in the
rates
corner.
of
So
mental
that's not the right
illness.
reaction. These things as well. So
Yeah.
there's a multiplicity of things that think of that. No
girl has been taught
to like
Hold
but
on.
if you are going deeper, because it cannot be a shallow situation. If you talk about toxic masculinity, this is why I say we don't have time to talk about that as much, because once you start going down on the levels, you will realize that you only have mental disorders. You have people who are being ostracized. You have people who have experienced
So it is real.
long term of solitude.
And what is toxicity? I'd love to know when we get to it, and I'd like to know what defines it.
I have a
It's
question.
damaging.
It's a thing that's bring damaging
It's
symptoms and
damaging.
effects.
Sorry.
I gave you a very
It's
concrete
poison.
example.
Hold
It's
on.
poison.
So all of in this room because of toxic then.
Absolutely.
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 Levels.
Absolutely.
There's
I
levels.
have
Alright,
there you
toxic
go.
Hold on.
traits.
I
There you
don't
go.
have so much.
Clearly it
Woman
does
king.
change.
Hold on. We need to get everybody's view.
Clearly it does
So
change.
woman king.
Rodney already answered for me.
No man. We want to hear what you think.
I mean, what you're saying
You agree?
makes sense.
Mhm.
It makes sense, but everybody is back and forth about it's the father or the mother. Jamaicans on a whole are raised by females. It's now, since lately, that men are stepping up to the table.
Disagree.
But women raise children.
Disagree.
Women raise children, and I've seen several times where when you're scolding the child, especially a little boy, well, yeah, about fuck. You get me for bath, you know,
They
you
would do the
kill
same thing
him.
to the girls
You
too.
kill the little boys. Little,
Culturally.
you kill the
You
little
see
boys.
Mothers
We as
have
mothers-
far
we
more
as
aggression
mothers-
as parents
Hold
than
on.
fathers
Don't want to
do.
go off track too much, but Jamaican mothers,
Woman go through that.
for the most part, if you're talking about, you know, you have uptown parents, we are aggressive to our children. So even if you're punishing the girl, if you're punishing the girl and she's
Shelter
crying,
and little
Man.
boys
Yeah.
get
We
murdered.
are dealing with youth.
Let
And
me
that's
hear.
factual.
You
When-
said
when
something,
I-
hold on. Woman King said something. Say it again.
I'm saying, little girls, they don't get the most aggressive
Not
part.
yet.
Little girls, girl child, they get pampered. Yeah, we get scolding, but little boys get it. They get it.
Yeah, man.
girls
That's
and boys
factual.
get it.
No, man.
Little
I don't think girls get
Boys,
like.
boys are far more harshly dealt
Actually-
with in life.
Thank
Actually,
you,
if you look
Rodney.
on
In
sociology and what they
life.
say about us in the Caribbean, you might find that for girls, there's a lot of expectation for the women. You stay inside. Mothers
There
usually
have
love
been
their
studies
boys.
that-
The only
yeah.
content I want to have with her boy is him becoming someone of a different orientation.
Yeah, that's
But
factual.
she will have more
Wh-
leeway
hold
for
on,
her son than for her daughter.
why we have more girls academically achieving? Why we have more girls that all the way to tertiary? Why we have more girls that are focused in
Thank
life?
you, Rodney.
You know why?
Why?
Because of that very same cultural argument in the region,
Where?
we tend to say, you know what? Let's protect the girls. We don't
Yes.
want her to get pregnant.
Thank you,
We don't want her to
Rodney.
kill us.
Let's
We want
pressure
her
the
to
girls
gain
and
something.
relax the
No,
boys.
let's leave
Hold
the
on.
boys alone.
Listen, we're talking about toxic
And
masculinity.
that's why you get toxic boys.
Hold on.
All right.
First of all,
Nobody
Can
needs
I
them.
finish my point? Can I finish my point?
We leave them alone.
We're talking about toxic masculinity. So if we pressure the girls, you have to do well, cause not man I got take it for better years. You pressure the girls, you're aggressive with the girls become aggressive, they become toxic. The boys, yeah man, go and go play, hang out with your friend them.
What you think
Sorry.
happening in
Sir,
that
let me
loose
hear
world?
my
What you think
position.
happening in that loose world?
Hold on. Let me hear.
Your
Hold
story
on.
starts
no,
the story.
no,
The
no,
wickedest thing you can do to a
Let me-
boy picnic is make him
Right,
give
right,
legs.
right.
Let me hear.
Roger.
You make it sound like structure is bad. Structure is
Hold
not
on.
bad.
No, it's not
You may
bad.
say,
There's so
yes.
many
Tamika,
dynamics.
let's hear what
Give me
Shaggy.
a second.
Yeah.
3 issues. The problem that I have with people on a whole, or women in general, is that they tend to push a narrative that is not necessarily there.
What is that narrative?
First and foremost, you notice you've never heard about toxic femininity. You only hear about toxic masculinity, right? You don't hear about the feminine part.
Because
Is there studies on that?
That's no, that I know, but the
Hold on,
statistics.
hold on, let me
There
finish
don't
now. Hold on,
seem to
hold
be
on.
statistics.
Hold on. The point is,
Mm.
everybody in this room has heard of toxic
Toxic
masculinity, but
masculinity.
you've never heard it. So basically what they've done is to say, okay, these traits that men possess are toxic. Cool, no problem. Moving on. Here's the next thing. This situation, there's a lot of statistics that I realize a lot of people don't look at. And the thing with statistics is that we quote statistics that we choose to quote. Right? First thing, the problem that we have in the homes is not a mother problem, it's not a father problem, it's a parent problem. Let me tell you why. If you look at each generation and how they're socialized and they're culturalized, you realize that each generation becomes worse and worse and worse. And I tell you why I say so. I am 47. I know people that are 60 that should be in my wavelength, but I still have to say uncle, auntie, because that's how I was brought up. If I go in one room, knock the door before I come in. Father always tell me, people invite the yard, there must be a vampire. Meaning say make them kind of come in the house.
Yes.
Vampire can't come in the house, and I say tell them.
Yes.
This is how I was grown. Up
So
to
the
this-
community raised a child.
so it's not only that, it's the principle. Now, when you look at the structure of the ghetto, right? Simple little things I notice. Children are not treated like children. I'll tell you why. There's no differentiation between a child and an adult. So therefore, a child is not allowed to be a child in the ghetto. And I'll tell you why I say so.
All in the garrison.
Especially majority of the time in the garrison. I'll tell you why. I could never, and nobody at this table that is over 30 could never see their parents talking or any adult talking and you as a child engage in there,
True.
you get boxed out.
True.
You get boxed out. Know your size, know your limitation. A lot of times you observe some behavior. The kids talk to the parents at their size.
Yes.
The kids refer to their parents by their first name, right? They don't, it's not mommy and daddy, it's
Yeah.
Keisha.
Yeah.
So you essentially what you have is, if this is the generation and they were not raised properly, this generation becomes parent. So you see the values that they instill in that child right here, so you're not instilling the true and proper value. Now, this misconception that, oh, boys get it easy, girls get it harder. I've seen girls with them parents pimp them out from them 30, pimp them out to the done, pimp them out to this and that. I've seen boy pitney where him don't know what it is for him mother hug him. Him don't know him father. You understand? It does not matter the sex of the child, it's how you treat the child. And if you yourself is damaged and come from a damaged upbringing, you're going to raise a damaged child. You understand? So instead of we are talking about the toxic masculinity, we should be talking about the toxic traits that these children are learning that is being passed down from that previous. You're in a house and you have 3 generations within there. Grandmother is 48. So you have the grandmother, the mother, and the people live in the same house, sometimes the same room. And don't get it twisted, even about 4 generations, where the great grandmother is there and she's in her 40s and her 50s. Because guess what happened? Nobody broke the cycle.
True.
Whereas grandmother are pitting early, great grandmother are pitting early, daughter are pitting early.
True.
I see social media whereas you put up some videos with kids dancing. It's one thing, certain kind of dance a pitting can do, no problem. But you see the whining, we don't realize that whining is good, it's sexy. Me as a big man, I no problem. I used to girl in my dance. But I don't want to see a 4-year-old doing it. Because what you're doing, you're sexualizing the 4-year-old. What do you think happens when a child is forced to sleep on a bed over there? So we've seen the videos where the boyfriend has stuck the mother and they picking up on the bed. Even though it's a baby, you feel like that don't imprint on the child and it's going to affect the child. Whatever sexual triggers that child is going to have is going to come from that first experience.
So what you're saying is that the idea of toxic masculinity
It
is
is-
fake in terms of
Yes.
in
Flawed.
terms of the
It's
fact-
flawed. It's
All of
flawed.
toxic masculinity in a relationship.
Because I gave a
It
concrete
is-
example.
it is-
It is
I'm just going
No,
by what he said.
flawed. I think it's flawed in a bit.
In closing. To me, there is toxic traits in everybody. Right? It takes both male and female where the world is concerned. It is very wrong that we spend so much emphasis to tear down where men is concerned. And a lot of the emphasis that is being placed on the world now is about tearing down men. And that is why we are raising some weak men. There's one thing I want to say in closing. If all the way on the ball field I play ball and you kick down Siku and use the Siku start ball, tell me say you're not run. Tell me say you're not run.
That's it.
Why? Because that eye water, you know, says frustration, you know, says serious. So you realize how narratives go. When you ball, you're weak. We as man know, so in certain situations, a man start ball, it's serious. And that is not weakness.
Alright,
That
so
is why,
we're going to
your
part.
point, who's having the conversation?
We're going to the next topic
Victims.
now, yeah?
People whose voices are loudest.
We're going to
No matter which way
break.
you come from.
We're gonna break.
But you
down
know
the-
that the men are the victims too.
Yeah, me out.
Absolutely, but
Yeah,
we don't talk, so you know who's talking
Guy.
more?
Guys,
Okay.
so we're gonna go to the next.
Other side of the
We're,
victims.
we're going to go to the next topic.
Yeah.
I think the idea and the thought process of toxic masculinity need a whole series by itself.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go to the next topic, and
There's one more catchword
that is,
being thrown out there by feminists.
and the topic surrounds the recent Netflix series called Tinder Swindler. And in that series, a male
Don't be bad magnet, that
Well, I-
Don't be bad magnet, that
I'm
man,
telling
I'm
the
sorry.
people about Tinder Swindler, man. So in that Netflix series, a young man, he, you know, when a female selects him, you know, he swindles them out of cash. after swooning them, with the idea that he's a wealthy young man from a family of diamond owners. So the question is now, is the shoe on the other foot?
Can I speak first?
Is it that, the females who were swindled, is taking the blunt of all the other men who have been swindled?
Can I go first?
Or is it that, everybody a thief? So we're going to start off with you.
Yeah,
Shaggy.
man. So what I know, here's my question.
Yeah.
Why is that even a question? Because guess what I mean? What I know? No, my pet peeve is this. We are genderize too much shit. We have put too much division and define because there are two series about people canning people for Netflix right now.
The woman
You understand what I'm saying? Brother, people are drunk. People, you have, listen to me now, man. You have woman, listen to me now, man. Hear me now, man.
50 million.
Listen to me now. I've had the experience already. I'm gonna tell you something. Some people have some personality traits and then come in like that. No matter how, it's like you have a party where the gate is free, the gate open. We then can't answer and drop us at the same way.
Rodney.
And they don't know for that.
Rodney.
Why we are focused on that? People can't people every single day. Woman, dear man, man. Hold on. Sorry. You want to see how bad the society is? A woman sued Drake one day because Drake put pepper sauce in a condom, in used condom. You see how bad the society gone?
Yo, we can't talk.
And that is a woman do that. And I can get some worse thing in my life.
Alright. Rodney.
Yeah.
Tinder swindler.
Yeah.
Is the shoe on the other foot?
Whichever foot it on, if you're fool, you're fool.
No,
Because understand this.
Facts.
I mean, from the beginning of time,
highly manipulative.
people swindle
No, you got-
people. But you see where an old woman is swindled by a very young conniving guy saying, oh, you want the sweepstakes, and
Thief.
poor naive mom, grandma, living by herself and all of this, and she get conned. Him forget 1,040 years, right? In the deepest part of prison. Contemporaries though. Just man and woman just meet each other and lo and behold. You meet me and I say, I'm a millionaire. I fly around in jets. I got big family. Not just me, my whole family got money. Oh Lord, you like me. And I'd call you after 6 months and say, baby, I need $10,000. Do the maths, man. No, don't.
They're coming to get me.
No, man. As fool as you be, understand this. Before you me did have family, before you me did have friends, and before you me did have money. Why me I call upon you for $10,000 when me, my family, and my friend them already have it?
Right.
All of a sudden, everything me have gone, every link me have got, I still have a link to you. And now you need to go borrow 5, borrow 2, borrow 3, and then turn around and say, alright, done it. I'm going to say, okay. And the following week, me get the same thing. And you want to tell the world, I swindled you? I swindled. I can say I swindled you when you're 85. And I'm 25, and I promised you something you've never possibly understood you could have before in life. This is you and your independent grandma self
I think
hoping
he's
to
swindled.
finally get this. How is it a swindle?
As a matter of fact, he's highly manipulative. He made them feel as if they were important.
No, man.
He checked in
What
every
you're
day.
doing now is you just
Right.
put woman. Hold on, no.
And I'm not
You
saying
just
women
put
don't do
woman.
it.
No, you
Let him
just
finish
put
his point. I
woman.
get you.
That mindset is one thing. To think that a man was able to manipulate, not some degenerate mind, not some challenge mind. You, as an educated, intelligent human being, for me to use a common sense, you could have gone to a grade 6 kid
with that equation in a
Hold on,
GSAT,
Sekou.
and he would have worked it
Sekou,
out and
like
said,
Sekou, I said what
this
because
don't make no sense.
Alright.
And your argument is, oh my God, I was so vulnerable, so weak, and he took over my mind and I gave him my life
Yes.
savings,
Well, that's exactly what
though,
Yes.
even though him own.
Hold on, Sekou.
Woman do the same thing to man too.
Broke man can't do
Broke
that.
or black.
Really?
Broke or black.
Broke man can't swing woman with money.
Broke or black.
That is true.
Woman with money give broke man money.
True.
And then when them vex with the relationship, them say, I call him, call me. No.
No, another fellow. Timing, no, hold on.
If he make up, you think he could get by his
Yes, him still could have do it. Hold on, let me show you.
Hold on. Before
What
we
was
go
the
anyway.
thing
No, before me, Tamika.
She
Hold
is.
on. Tamika.
If-
Hold on.
He pretended to be rich.
Tamika.
Yeah.
Hold on. Is the shoe on the other foot, Tamika?
You mean?
Yeah, Tinder swindler. Is the shoe on the other foot?
Suppose it was a,
It was a female, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
but females do that all the time.
Okay.
Oh.
But what I'm saying is, females. No, the,
Hold on. Okay.
no, the truth is, females con men all the time.
Yeah.
Every
They
day.
swindle man out of
Hold on,
even when they're not
just
getting back.
got
But
one.
some man are idiot. Let me say why. And I'm not saying that these are not,
Silly.
silly.
No, you can't call him either too.
Yeah, they're not idiot. But I
Equality.
think you have men who they don't want anything. All they want is to take care of this woman. You know what I'm front?
Sorry.
Make you finish. Make
You
you
actually
finish.
do have men out there.
Them no
Let
want
her
to
come here
front.
and shoot him.
Why?
No,
Let
the society needs them. They have a level.
What is there something wrong?
Hold on. Let her finish.
He doesn't want any sex. He doesn't want any physical attention.
Wait one.
He just wants to talk to her on the phone and go out with her as him arm candy.
Yep.
And take care of her because it makes him feel more of a man.
And he's
Well,
75.
sorry.
No.
You know that there's drugs in penis and and he's
No,
75.
but
A man
no.
in the
No,
world.
he's not
A
75.
man in
Then
the
like
world
that,
that tell you
trust
that
me,
I
you'll be
make you
surprised.
believe it. And you it's
Very
just like the
Hold
woman.
on.
We're
Why?
saying $10,000 go give a man the
Hold
same
on
of a
first.
diamond man.
Why? No, let's not make it personal. What
We're
I'm
not
saying.
making it personal. I'm saying
What I'm saying is,
that thinking to believe a man who would say that.
but there are men who are like that.
There are men who tell you that.
There are men
No, to
who
be
are
honest,
like that.
to be
And I
honest,
know
my
quite a
brother
few of
is
my
a man who
girlfriends
said
have
that to
man
a
who
woman.
spend money
And
regularly
after
and
2
never
years,
touch
him
her.
still have to
Yeah.
carry.
No.
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
And next
Hold on.
tomorrow
All
morning,
right. So,
you get that opportunity. Him never
There
want
are
to
some
touch
men
her.
who it's
him
not
have her in a apartment,
sexual. They
him
probably
buy
just like
her
the
car,
feet,
him
like
don't
the
do
nipple.
this.
They're
Two
Yes,
years,
you have
left
men
a
out
flap
there
on
like
them.
that.
Nobody
Yes.
knows these things.
Hold
Nobody
on.
knows these things.
They never gonna let them know, no.
before me go anywhere further.
I have women who just want to feel like they have a man who's secure. That
Fine.
is why the man was able to swindle them.
Fine.
And they feel like rich man want them.
He
Rodney.
wants something, but
They
it's
felt
not
important.
sex, but he wants some.
That's why I'm swindling
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Because they feel like
Rodney,
somebody
you see
who's
that point where you
wealthy
hold it? Can I make you
can
say
take care of them.
something.
Hold on.
And trick them.
Caroline.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't want us to get lost in the victim blaming and all of that. There are reasons why people are scammed. So listen, and that's my problem, Rodney, and that's my problem, Shaggy. That people, you have these victims with all them stupid and this shouting about them being stupid without actually dissecting the reasons.
The reason them stupid, or the reason them a
Well,
victim?
fine, the reason they're stupid and the reason they're
I want to make sure
Yeah, man, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
right?
And the one will lead to the other.
And one will lead to the other.
Yeah.
You see, these documentaries, they highlight some things so that people can learn from them. First of all, the Tinder swindler, he used what is called the scarcity principle. And these things affect, so everybody can be scammed.
Explain what is the scarcity.
Right? The scarcity principle. Man short, at man short, man with money short. So he applied the scarcity principle. Then he applied the concrete evidence. He had the last name, he had the pictures, everything. Then love bombing is a technique used by scammers all the time. We are raised in a society where Cinderella, romantic comedies, we need to fall in love, we need to get married, all of that training. This man is providing the fairy tale. And see, so all of these layers, so we have scarcity, socialization, love bombing. Then no, we have, I'm going to marry you, I want you to have my children. I'm in danger. So you're activating my nurturing them. If I look up at them, give me dolly, tell me I'm gonna be a good and good person. So the scamming is not just your fool. We need to have these conversations.
Not just a fool, but it can be licky.
Yeah,
Because
licking.
if you
Yeah, you see, you can't do that second.
No.
The licky part of it is the security part of it.
Desire.
We're not calling
What
it
if you
licky,
did-
we're calling it
Oh,
security.
that's the academic
No,
term.
hold on.
That's the academic term.
Wait, hold on.
This is security.
It is.
Broken him.
Second him.
Broken him. But him use
I need to be loved. I need to be wanted.
It's security.
No.
Yeah, no, but him use tactics.
Seeking
Security.
security. You know
It's
what?
not
no,
It's
sorry.
security.
Let's say he
They
showed.
played on their greed. No, greed is a big aspect of
No,
life.
on your desire for love
So it's not
and
licky.
Security is
Security.
security.
Sorry.
If he projected as a broke man, if he come to you and say, yo,
He would not have gone that.
exactly.
Yeah, no,
So
but
therefore,
that's
therefore,
Is
between
it-
the greed and the lickiness.
It's a security way of
So what
calling
are
it.
they? So
Question.
question.
Once again, you
What are
just
they?
went down the road I talked about earlier.
So I'm going to, can I
Putting up
ask
women
my,
Yeah, you can ask.
can I ask my learned friend?
We don't
Can I ask a
security.
question?
We're
Can I
not-
ask you a question?
Yes,
So
yes,
a couple of years ago now, when my brethren range, I pick up a girl, carry her go up a female house in their forest, and pretend like say a female house. And she end up give me the vagina the night. A security, she don't want me to give her the vagina the night.
We didn't like it too, but the security.
No man,
And the security
That's
too.
easy to like him when you have a range.
Yeah, it's true. No, but it's
Hold
true.
on.
It's true.
Men are behaving. Hold on.
Absolutely
Carly.
true.
Men are
Absolutely
behaving
true.
like broke man I get pum pum.
Hold on.
From broke girl.
Yeah, from broke girl. No, hold on. Sorry, please. That is actually very true. You be very careful with that statement because a lot of broke men know that get pum pum. I tell you a wicked thing. Enough time I see some man spend on some blows now. Woman. And when the man go and buy, and walk fast, you see a little youth out the door, I go and general father, and you walk past and you look on the front, and when you go in and buy, you spend a bag of money on the barmaid, and guess what, you can't even see drugs, and people don't know, say, little man, you walk past, so they say, walk, go and general, and him a beat her.
With your Pro Box.
You know what you
Wanna
want
cut
out
left
the
or right,
road.
Pro Box?